Do you have any tips or tricks with PowerPoint on the Mac?
Yeah, so some of mine are really just about being more efficient.
Mhm.
I learned that I could customize my toolbar on the very top of all of my files so that for me personally, it's like slide master, adding shapes. I think that the standard is like the save and undo button.
Mhm.
I have cropping, I have layering, so sending objects back and forth, alignment, and paragraph spacing.
Welcome to Macpreneur, the show for seasoned solopreneurs looking to streamline their business on a Mac. Unlock the secrets to saving time and money with your host and technology mentor, Damien Schruers.
Hello, hello. Today I have the pleasure to introduce Emily Schneider. Emily is a visual storyteller with an enthusiastic passion for presentation design, specializing in transforming complex content into captivating presentations that seamlessly blend storytelling with eye-catching design. Emily brings nearly 2 decades of experience in marketing and branding to the table. Her strategic collaboration with clients ensures that their messages come to life through beautiful, impactful visuals. Emily's journey began with a Sweet 16 invitation, igniting a love for design that has flourished into a thriving creative career. Dedicated to empowering clients to confidently deliver their messages, she invites you to join her in exploring the exciting world of design presentations and discovering her unique approach to crafting stunning visual stories in PowerPoint. Emily, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
When you contacted me through Podmatch, I was really interested in knowing how you are doing PowerPoint uh, presentations for your clients from a Mac. And so let's start actually, and let's jump more into your current Mac setup. So on which Mac are you helping your clients prepare for
I am
presentations?
Yes, I'm on a MacBook Pro 16-inch 2019.
2019. So it's before the Apple Silicon transition. So is it the one with the touch bar? Do you have the touch bar on that
Yes, I
one?
do have the touch bar. Yeah.
Is it something that you're using?
Yes. How I use it, I guess, is really interesting. I really use it for my sound and my and the brightness of my screen. But I think that's just based on my setup. I actually have two monitors, and so the keyboard or the my MacBook keyboard is connected to my laptop. Is not my main keyboard. It's my wireless one, and so it doesn't have the touch.
Mhm. Yeah. And so apart from the Mac, so you have one screen or two external monitors?
I have one external monitor and then my Mac.
And you use both in tandem.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Now, if we go back to the origin story, what was your first Mac? When did you start using Macs?
My very first personal Mac was so my parents, I think we only bought Macs back in the day. That was our first computer. I never had anything but a Mac that I remember, to be honest. But my very own personal one was when I went to college, and that it was like this giant tower. I remember researching it for hours with my dad. I knew I was going to go into creative work and graphic design. And so I knew it was really important to have like a powerful machine because, at that point too, all your applications had to be based on your desktop or in your like you had to have enough all the good stuff to house and save your file. Well, your files they were on different drives, but anyway, yeah. So it was that big one, and then I had like the fancy cool monitor. I just remember my freshman year of college. Like, I definitely stood out from everybody else who had more traditional computer situations happening.
A bit more boring beige boxes.
Yeah, a lot of blue, just like backgrounds, black, right? I had this cool silver thing, and my desk was a little bit different than theirs. So yeah.
Mhm.
But interesting enough, I didn't really use my computer the first year the way they did because I was in art school, and so we didn't need laptop.
Mhm.
I didn't really get into design until later on in my
Mhm.
in my education.
Mhm. And so when did you transition from a desktop to a laptop Mac?
Um, that was actually not my work. I was working for an agency, and they transitioned before I did personally. And for a while at that point too, just being a young, starting my career, I couldn't afford to have like the top of the line computer. So my work always let me have a MacBook. Again, I was in a creative field. And so Macs were exclusively like every creative person in the agency, right, was working from a Mac desktop. The exact year, I don't remember, to be honest. I want to say it was like, I could look it up. It was like between like 2000 and like maybe 2009, maybe earlier, maybe 2005, 6. I don't know. I felt like it was late. Whatever it was, it felt late compared to other people around.
And so, yeah, apart from the Microsoft Office suite, which other apps do you use now to run your business?
Yeah, so I still have use Adobe Cloud, and so focusing in Illustrator, Photoshop. I don't do as much as in InDesign anymore because I'm trying to get all my work done in PowerPoint. But I do leverage the vector for sure in Illustrator, and there's some retouching or cropping or photo adjusting that will happen in Photoshop that you can't do in Microsoft. And being just native to Adobe, and being from my visual standpoint, Microsoft doesn't have all the permissions or the ability to have control to adjust. I use all of like I still am really active in I use my messaging. So I love having that seamlessly connected so that I can, talk and video and do all the things from my computer. So I use all of those that is traditional to I would say more my phone. I work with one client on Slack. So that's another app. And then what else do I've got? I'm going to go through my thing. I use Chrome, Calendar a bunch. Again, having everything kind of connect is really nice for me. And that ability, it's like, I don't know how I would run my business if I couldn't bring it and move it all around in that same manner. It'd be really different.
So to better understand what you do, part of your work is outside of PowerPoint and then the rest is inside PowerPoint. Is it correct? Or
I do my work is usually I'm 99.9% native in PowerPoint. So I just did, it's a 54 slide presentation for a client. The only reason there's one thing that's not done in PowerPoint is because they wanted a gradient in a pie chart, and I couldn't figure out how to manipulate that. I actually couldn't even do it in Illustrator. I took it into Photoshop and blurred it, but they just, to be super visual, that it was it was a pie chart broken into 3 pies or 3 sections, and they didn't want a hard line between them, but the colors needed to kind of still be in their quadrants. So again, the beautiful, put a smart object into Photoshop, blurred it, saved it out as a ping, and placed it back in. So yeah, other than that, everything else is built in this file.
Wow. I know you specialize in PowerPoint, but do you have experience with Keynote and Google Slides as well?
Google Slides, yes. Keynote, I never really got into. I think just because, again, when I was getting introduced into using this using a presentation design platform, because of our clients having PCs and non-Mac environments, Keynote wasn't native. So we were building in PowerPoint. So they got it. So I never kept up with Keynote. Google Slides, yes, but I find that it doesn't have the ability to manipulate in the same way that I'm used to with since my background is in the Adobe suite and how much control you have, and PowerPoint has a lot more options there. They're just more advanced, simply like kerning and tracking, or options to build animations, and how you can set up your masters and forms and kind of, manipulate editing options. Some of my quick tips that I would say that I've learned through PowerPoint, they're just not, I don't know how to do them at Google. And so, so the other thing I think that's interesting is I use a lot of quick keys when designing. And so it's hard to go from Google platform for it's hard to go from Google to PowerPoint. For some reason, they're very similar from Adobe to Microsoft, I should say, because of they're so different. But it takes me like a couple, I have to like retrain my brain of like, no, it's these buttons move an object back, not forward kind of thing, or this is how you copy to match styles. So, so that's also just part of why I've crafted and niched my business into PowerPoint specifically, is because I realized I can't be an expert at many things. I can be good at many things, but really being able to niche myself allows me to separate who I am and really define and explain more, simply the work I do and how I can help people. So say that from going from Google to PowerPoint specifically as a presentation designer, but also if I back it up, I started my entrepreneurship as a general freelance, like creative director. And so I was doing all of these things, and I realized that my brain just couldn't like jump as fast as you want it to keep up. And again, tapped into the things that make me really happy. And this was a space that I felt like I could really add value and stand apart. And yeah, so that's how I got there.
Yeah, if I come back to the keyboard shortcuts with the Google system, I had to turn off keyboard shortcuts in Gmail because I'm so used to certain keyboard shortcuts on the Mac that I accidentally sent emails.
Yeah.
I was I'm doing a keyboard shortcut and said, what happened? Where's my email? What? It just got sent. I was like, luckily I have activated the 30 seconds to undo to not send the email. Otherwise I'm always, that's
yeah. So yeah, you gotta, because you, again, after like so many years, I've been doing this for 20 years, like it's right there. That's part of why my setup has a wireless keyboard, because to look at two monitors, I need my hands close to me because that's the body language, right? And so keyboard shortcuts are amazing if you use them properly. They really do save time. So
yeah,
it's kind of like, I wish I could sometimes ring them in real life, right? Control Z, or I say Control Command.
Yes.
But like, or copy paste. I've definitely like, tried to use that with my kids, or like all of a sudden I find myself like doing it. I'm like, oh, I'm not at work.
Yeah. So in the audience, we have solopreneurs who just migrated to the Mac. And I suspect, I don't have hard numbers on that, but I suspect that some of the listeners are still halfway between Windows and Mac, and maybe some of them are contemplating buying their first Mac. And so you have a lot of experience, so running PowerPoint on a Mac and doing client work for people who are on Windows. What's your take on the compatibility level of PowerPoint between the Mac version and the Windows version?
Yeah. So from my standpoint and how I work with my clients, as long as we make sure, and like, it's something I've learned, you can Google it, I've checked with them by sending files. As long as you make sure that the fonts that you choose are native to Microsoft, right? They're not on your desktop, if that makes sense. So customizing fonts, there are ways to do it, but it's like, I think, especially as somebody trying to shift, I wouldn't recommend that you look into those. But finding, and Microsoft has some beautiful fonts that are available that work across both platforms. That makes it super easy, and there's usually not a turnover or a transfer issue. Again, I've done things where I've sent clients PDFs and the PowerPoint native file to say, this is what it should look like, to make sure your fonts are right, have them pull it up on their screen. I do a lot of Zoom calls, and that's how I run all of my business. And so making sure we see each other's screens is really important. So I haven't found that. I will say there are a couple things that Microsoft, from an animation, from a very specific design graphic standpoint, that you have more control, or you can actually tap into in the PC side, that are not all the features on the Mac side. Mac, not that we're supposed to be an afterthought, but Microsoft was built for a PC environment, right? That's their number one. But I haven't run into anything that's like made or break a presentation. It's taken me a little bit more time to manipulate it in the way that I know some of my PC friendly designers are able to do for me. I've definitely phoned friends and said, hey, could you do this? Because they can simply like name layers and see certain panes that like I don't always have access to.
Mhm.
Things are getting closer though. I think every update we get
Mhm.
more and more.
Yeah. We don't have full feature parity, but I would say from the three apps, Excel and Word and PowerPoint, I would say is one of the closest between the Windows version and the Mac version.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
And so because you're using PowerPoint, maybe among the listeners, some of them are also interested in using the Microsoft Office suite. Do you have any tips or tricks with PowerPoint on the Mac?
Yeah. So some of mine are really just about being more efficient.
Mhm.
I learned that I could customize my toolbar on the very top of all of my files so that for me personally, it's like slide master, adding shapes. I think that the standard is like the save and undo button. I have cropping, I have layering, so sending objects back and forth, alignment, and paragraph spacing. In terms of where your type is heading in a box. These are all things that when I'm in my standard home tab on PowerPoint or in a PowerPoint, I don't always see my shape edits or controls. And so again, just trying to be more efficient has been really helpful. You can also put in some like plugins. So I know you can connect to like the Noun project online so that you can search. I think stock image sites as well. You can get a plugin so that you don't have to exit the platform to search or to bring if you have accounts. And then I also leverage. I've just recently found out about it. Brightslide is a company. I think in the UK, they are a presentation like they're kind of the gurus. They lead a lot of training sessions that I've attended just to learn, more tips and tricks in terms of how to set up presentations from a design standpoint, but also to help my clients. And they have a plugin that's really amazing that actually gives you a lot more control in how images are imported, how they are set in, how you can like instead of typing in all your leading and kerning requests, that you can do a slider so you have more control. You can match sizes of shapes, those kind of things, and colors, and kind of apply all. I definitely do not master it by any means. I'm just actually training myself just to simply start with adjusting my leading using their system. But I know there's a lot of opportunities there again, I'm all about efficiencies and shortcuts in terms of what my tips and tricks would be.
Mm-hmm.
And then I save to the cloud, so I always have the backup and work from the cloud.
Mm-hmm. So do you use the built-in, so the native OneDrive integration?
Oh, no, I actually use iCloud as my entire computer backup system.
Okay.
So I just work directly from iCloud, not my desktop. For most of my client work, that way. Again, it's I realized actually earlier this year that I was not backing up anywhere, and so when I had a little freak out, we have a Best Buy Geek Squad. My husband and I are like sign up for that program or that subscription. So I ran in there and they helped me and their tech was like, you should just use iCloud because it's right. To me, I just don't want to like jump to another tab or go somewhere else. So the fact that it's all native and it feels like you're still within your Mac environment, it's nice. Again, I can log in from other places and grab it or see it on my phone and stuff. So, but PowerPoint doesn't always show up nicely on our cell phones for quick reviews. So, but that's okay.
Yeah, no, that's I would say the drawback of storing Microsoft Office files in iCloud Drive is so natively with files on the iPhone and the iPad, you can have a preview of the document, but you can't really work with it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And yeah, so with PowerPoint, you can actually now the Microsoft is offering a single app called Microsoft 365 that actually contains Excel, Word, PowerPoint. And so you can create any type of those documents from an iPad or from an iPhone from a single app. So before you had to download 3 apps and you had 3 times the storage.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, when they basically share, I don't know the exact figure, but I think they must share 80% of the components is shared across all 3 apps of the Office suite. So Microsoft realized, okay, let's get people download one app, do everything, and that has then a native integration with OneDrive, meaning that you can open a file that is on OneDrive directly on an iPhone and an iPad. So that's the advantage. And I would say you have to be careful with iCloud and with actually any cloud storage like Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive is the same thing. It's not really a backup. It's more file synchronization and cloud storage solution because everything is synchronized. It is that's by definition the reason why it's not a backup, because if you delete a file from any place, right, from any device,
sure.
it gets deleted everywhere. A true backup is if you delete something on one device, you haven't lost the file. It's still somewhere.
Yes, right. I get what you're saying, totally.
So for my clients, when they use iCloud Drive, if they absolutely want to use iCloud Drive, there's no issue with that. But my recommendation is one Mac must be configured so that all the iCloud Drive files are at all times, there is a local copy on the Mac. So that those files are then backed up with Time Machine. Because if you now I don't remember the name. Yes, it's Optimize Mac Storage. So in system settings or system preferences, if you go to your Apple ID, iCloud, iCloud Drive, on the Mac, there is an option called Optimize Mac Storage. If you tick that box because you don't have enough space on the Mac, right? You have maybe 1 terabyte of storage in iCloud Drive, and you only have a 256 or 512 gigabyte MacBook. So you don't have enough storage for the file, so you activate Optimize Mac Storage. It means that you will never have a complete backup of your files, right? So it's always better to have a Mac that has internal storage that is at least capable of holding everything that is in iCloud Drive. And what I'm talking now, it's the same with Dropbox, it's the same with OneDrive, right? You need a computer that can hold all your cloud files locally on the device so that it can get backed up with Time Machine, or it can get backed up with another tool called Backblaze, which I recommend also to my clients. So it's another kind of cloud storage, but it's a true cloud backup, right? It's a one-way backup from the Mac to Backblaze. If anything happens to my Mac, I know that I can re-download everything from Backblaze.
Got it. That's good to know. I wrote that down so I can check that out. Make sure, see what I can do.
Yeah. Okay, so we're almost at the end of the show. And now comes the question, if you were in charge of the Mac division at Apple, what would be your first priority?
Oh, to create some focus around battery optimization and length of how long my MacBook Pro specifically can last when I unplug it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always always going so close down before I can like grab a charger. For some reason, it feels like, or maybe I just am not aware or don't pay attention enough to that red when my battery goes red. But yeah, how do I keep my battery going and make it really easy to plug that thing in when I'm out and about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the even though Apple has made a lot of improvements on the battery side of things, there is still some chemical degradation, and just using and charging using up the battery, obviously it degrades the cells. So you have a 2019 MacBook Pro, so it's a 5 years old Mac. You can go to system settings or system preferences, and you can double check the quality of the battery or the remaining capacity of the battery.
Okay.
And
I will do that.
yeah, so the rule of thumb is 80% remaining capacity, right? So when you bought the MacBook, when it came out of the factory line, it had 100% capacity. And over time, the battery degrades. And what's happening is that you charge the MacBook, and in the top right corner, it says 100%. Right? It says it says
exactly.
fully charged. Well, no, it's 100% of a percentage of the factory value.
Got it. That makes a lot more sense.
And that factory value can be, 80%, 70%, 60%. And so the thing is, when it goes below 80%, normally you should have in the top right corner, you should have a warning or something like that. And I don't know for the 2019 model actually how easy it is to replace the battery. But at this point, I wouldn't advise to actually do that.
Right. Yeah. It's investment in a new machine. That's it. That's how I feel too. Like, don't waste the time or the energy.
They have made so much progress now with the Apple Silicon Macs, the M3 Pro MacBook Pros. And so first of all, you will notice the bigger improvement in battery life, but also I'm sure you will notice the speed. If you the day you buy a new MacBook, you will immediately see the speed improvement. Very good. So where can people find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on my website. I am emilyschneider.com, but I'm also super active and I love networking and connecting with people on LinkedIn as well.
Very good. So thank you. Thank you again for being on the show, Emily, and sharing everything you do on your Mac.
Thank you. It was so fun to talk about it. I hope you guys have a great day.
Yeah. And so if, like Emily, you would like to share how you are using your Mac to run your solopreneur business, it's very simple. Just visit macpreneur.com/apply. If you are already on Podmatch, just click on the button and you will land on the show profile. Otherwise, fill the application form and I will get back to you within a few days. Once again, it's macpreneur.com/apply. In the comments below, please share your main takeaway from this episode. And if not done yet, please subscribe to my channel so you will automatically get more helpful tips on how to run your business on your Mac. And until next time, I'm Damien Schreurs, wishing you a great day.
Thank you for watching the Macpreneur podcast. If you've enjoyed the show, please leave a comment and share it with a friend right now.